received, and he's been a great parent and all of that. But at the end of the day, he has not really established any type of massive wealth. He's not established any type of wealth building habits. He didn't really teach that stuff to me, right? And he's been trading his time for money forever, right? And so I looked at that and I said, I ain't gonna do that. I'm not working on Saturdays. I don't want to work on Sundays. I don't want to work nights and holidays and weekends and all this crap. I'm going to take this real estate business, and I keep seeing examples of people that have taken this business and used it to fund the life that they want to have, where they're traveling all the time and hiring people and giving back and inspiring people and teaching and all this stuff. I said, why can't I have that? Right? Why can't I hang out? Why can't I spend 2 hours with my kid at school when he has some kind of function? Right? So I tried to figure out, how am I going to include passive income into my world? And so I became a student of passive income. Right? In school, I studied psychology and economics. And people were like, that's kind of strange. And I said, well, I'm figuring out money and I'm figuring out people. What else do I need to understand? Right? If I don't need to know how to fix a toilet, I'm going to pay somebody to fix a toilet. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
Kim, I appreciate you laughing all the time. That makes me so happy. Okay. So I tried to figure out, how am I going to create income in a number of different ways. Okay. And that's why I was so receptive to this idea of team building. That's why I was so receptive to this idea of passive income. Right. And so I want to chat with you a little bit about wealth building. Okay. One of the things that we'll probably get to eventually in productivity coaching, and we teach it quite a bit at KW, is something called the 6 personal perspectives. Okay. The 6 personal perspectives is essentially the original content that Gary wrote back in the 80s. And he was teaching that content to real estate people in Texas as he was beginning the company. And so when he started off being a training company, it wasn't like, when a seller says this, you say this. It was, we're gonna coach you to the full person, right? We're gonna adopt the principles of 80-20, right? And some of the other principles of the 6 personal perspectives, so that you can become a better, well-rounded professional, right? Because it's not just about slinging homes day and night, right? Does everyone agree with that? Does anyone believe we were put on this earth to sling homes 24/7?
No.
I don't either. I think we're supposed to use the real estate business opportunity to go fund the life that we want to have, right? And you're going to only do that when you figure out how to, when you have the financial resources to spend time the way you want to spend time. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So one of the, lost my train of thought. One of the 6 personal perspectives, okay? Actually, hang on just one quick second for me. I'm going to read the 6 personal perspectives to you really fast, okay? Self-mastery, committing to self-mastery, committing to the 80-20 principle, okay? Moving from E to P, becoming learning-based, removing your limiting beliefs, and being accountable, okay? And so I realized when a new topic came up into my mind and I said, I need to figure out how to be successful here, I went back and I said, well, I better master this thing. I better figure out the people that are doing well and not doing well, right? And I started really understanding how money worked. When Gary teaches Quantum Leap, he teaches about financial awareness, right? And he teaches about the power of money. And one of the summary statements that he says a lot is, you're not going to save your way to wealth. You're going to have to make some investments. Okay. Does everyone know do you guys remember many years ago, I think it was Fidelity that had a commercial where people were carrying around their number. Y'all remember that? So the idea of that, Robert, you remember that?
Hey, I remember that.
I do.
So the idea there was when I have this amount of money, I will be able to retire. Right? And
I'm gonna eat a little bit while we're here. I won't make too much noise.
okay. So when I have this amount of money, I will retire. Okay. And what that means is that that amount of money will spit off enough passive income that can satisfy my my lifestyle. Right? So let's say in retirement, I need $60,000 a year to live the lifestyle I want. Okay. So you go back and say, okay, I need $2 million. When I got $2 million, that'll spit off my 60 grand and everything will be great. Now all I got to do is find $2 million. Does that make sense? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, in order to put $2 million into an active investment, you'll be lucky. Most Americans are lucky to save 10% of their income, and you got to pay taxes. So we're talking about potentially making $40 million in order to pay taxes on that and have $20 million, in order to save 10%, in order to have $2 million, in order for it to spit out 60,000. Does anyone find fault with my logic there?
Wow.
So you're probably not going to save your way to wealth.
Right.
Okay. So you're going to need to build wealth along the way. And 75% of America's wealth is tied up in real estate. Did you know that?
No,
Okay.
I
The
didn't.
vast majority of millionaires have made their money, at least in part, through investing in real estate, even if it's just their single family home. Okay. One exercise I started doing recently was calculating my net worth. And I would encourage all of you to calculate your net worth. Okay. A very simple way to do that is by listing all the things you own, the assets that you own, right? That would be like the value of your house, the value of your car, the value of any stock that you have, any collectibles you have, any of that kind of thing, right? And then on another column, you write on all your debts, right? Do I owe credit cards? Do I owe student loans? Do I have a mortgage on my house? Do I have any personal debts? Any of that kind of thing. And you calculate the difference. If you have a positive number, then you have a positive net worth. If you have a negative number, you have a negative net worth. And all of the decisions that you make, particularly now, should be designed to say, how do I increase my net worth? Make sense?
Yes.
Okay. I need you to get mine, okay?
Mommy said we can't get them. Oh.
Hold on, everybody. What? Wait, I'm serious. What's going on?
I got 4. I can relate.
Sorry, everybody. Did you hurt or did you scare?
Oh,
Hang on, everybody. I'm sorry.
it's okay.
Good. You're good.
Okay.
You're good. It's what we do.
Yep.
Okay.
Oh.
All right. You want to see everybody's face and then you won't cry?
Hi.
Hi.
I'm in a spaceship.
Look at Robert. He looks like he's in a spaceship.
Looks like I am.
He's
Apollo
on his way
1.
to the,
Come on.
to the solar system. Okay. Has anyone ever read Cash Flow Quadrant?
No.
No.
Okay. Has anyone ever read Rich Dad Poor Dad?
Yep.
No.
Okay. Rich Dad Poor Dad is written
Yes,
by
that's
Robert
my favorite.
Kiyosaki.
Robert, yes, I love him.
And Cash Flow Quadrant is the much longer and much better book about financial literacy. Okay. And one of the cool things that he talks about is this idea of the cash flow quadrant. Okay. I'm just throwing a lot of ideas at you today. And we have a special guest that I'll introduce here in a couple minutes that has kindly volunteered to share him and his family's journey through wealth building. And most likely, we've only prepped for a moment on this, but most likely some of the things that he's going to share are a lot of life lessons, a lot of financial lessons. And he's also going to share, can you do that on this? He's also going to probably share some of the mistakes he's made. right? Some of the money that he's lost, right? And he's going to share some of the money that he's made. And he's going to probably talk about risk tolerance, right? How he evaluates an investment, right? What things he's willing to invest in and what things he's not willing to invest in. Is he a part of any businesses? These kind of things. So I'm going to introduce Robert here in just a second. There's an idea in the cash flow quadrant. The cash flow quadrant looks like this, okay? Can y'all see this?
Yes.
This is E, S, B, and I, okay? Employee, self-employed, business owner, investor, okay? 95% of the world's people earn their money here through the E and S. 95% of the world's population earns their income through E and S. However, that 95% of people only yield 5% of the wealth. 95% of the wealth is over here. And people that earn their income from B and I, okay? However, those people only make up 5% of the world's population, okay? So this is an intelligence test. The E and S side is the left side and the B and I side is the right side. Which side would you rather be on?
Yes.
Yeah.
No, you'd rather get your money from B and I, right?
No.
Yeah.
Why?
Yes, I would. B and I.
Okay, hold on. Let me make sure I explained this properly. These are employees,
Right.
self-employed. 95% of the population is here and they earn 5% of the wealth.
No, BI.
Yes.
Right.
B and I is business owner and investor. 5% of the world earns their money this way, yet they earn 95% of the world's wealth.
Yes, that's where we want to be.
Is there anybody that wants to be over here?
No.
We all want to be here, yes?
Yes.
Okay. This is trading your time for money. Okay. This right here is you're an employee. You show up, you get paid. You don't show up, you don't get paid. Simple.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Right.
That would be, I'll use a, let's put a, let's say we're a plumber. Okay. I work for a plumbing company. When I do plumbing work, they pay me.
Right.
When they don't need me or I don't work, I don't get paid.
You don't
I'm
get paid.
trading my time for money completely. Does everyone get that?
Yep.
Here I say, well, I've saved enough money to buy some tools and a truck, and I'm going to be a solo practitioner / business owner. I'm self-employed, right? I got one truck and one set of tools, and now I'm still trading my time for money. Make no mistake about it, but I own the company. My name on the shed, right? It's my name on the truck.
Right.
However, if my family wants to go on vacation or I need to stop by my kid's school for something, right, that I've determined is important, I want to go to the doctor, no toilets are getting fixed while that's happening. I'm self-employed. I'm still trading my time for money.
Mm-hmm.
Make sense?
Yes.
I still got all the risk. Business owner is when you start hiring people.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So let's say now that one guy has bought 5 sets of tools and has 5 trucks. Okay. So if he needs to stop by his son's school activity, he's got 5 other entities, his 5 people, his 5 helpers
It's working for him.
that are fixing toilets while he's enjoying doing what he's enjoying doing,
Mm-hmm.
or she. Okay. Now, every toilet that gets fixed, the business owner has a profit margin, right?
Right.
Can this guy go on vacation and still make money?
Yes.
Can this guy?
No.
Can this guy?
No.
Okay. An investor would be somebody, let's say I'm starting a plumbing company and I go to Robert because I know he's amassed some wealth over his investment journey, and I say, hey, I want to go from here to here. So I need $20,000 so I can buy a couple new trucks and a couple new sets of tools. Would you invest in my business? Right?
Okay.
Because that'll allow me to hire some more people, right?
Right.
So Robert writes me a check and he lets money make more money from him, for
Right.
him. He's investing. Okay. Now he's still got some risk, no doubt about it. Right.
Right.
However, he is relying on, he's only going to make that investment when he believes in the owner and when he believes in the plan. And if he were to follow me around all day, it would be painfully obvious I cared about building a real estate or a plumbing company. And I'm going to ask you guys a really important question here. What if I followed you around all day? Right?
Right.
Now, if I followed Stephanie around yesterday, I would know damn well what she was doing because she was in and out of the stores, making cute little pop buys for toilet paper and pasta and, you know, adding
Yeah.
people to her database, and she was crushing it. However, I'm sure there was real estate agents that did absolutely nothing. Is
what's
that fair
going
to
on?
say? Not necessarily on this call, because y'all are all doing exactly what you
Oh,
should
yeah, so
do.
they said they put me on the schedule because of the,
Yeah, all they took all the part-time people down to 0 hours
they said I'm
until
still,
it blows over.
yeah, they said, oh, you still
What?
employed. Cool, thank you.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to mute everyone just to, there's a lot of noise in the background. Hang on.
I'm like, damn.
I want to.
Okay. So Robert's got some extra cash and he's always looking for opportunity. So I come to him and I say, here's my plan. Here's my 135. Here's my 411. Here's what I need to do every day. Here's how I spend every hour. And he says, man, that looks sharp. I'll invest with you. Right? But if I come to him and I say, hey, I need some money, and he says, all right, show me the plan, and you got no plan, and you don't know what to do every day, and you're not constantly becoming more and more intelligent about running a business and being the best plumber you can be and using new technology to be a better plumber, then he says, I'm not going to spend my money with you. Does that make sense? This, for example, just because you're an investor doesn't mean you're not interested in the business. So I'll give you another example. This is Andy Peters at the Roswell Market Center, right? He's an owner in the Market Center, and he's very involved in mentoring the leaders and watching the numbers and teaching teaching the agents and all that kind of thing, right? But he wrote the biggest check of all. He's got the most money on the line. Does that make sense? Yet he is not the one that's leading the team meetings, right? And he is not the one that is serving on the ALC, right? And he is not the one that's knocking on doors and signing listing contracts and cutting checks. Does that make sense? He has paid other people to do that. And then he has found the people that own that opportunity, that own that leadership role, to mentor and coach and make sure all the people that have been tasked with a certain segment of the work that has to get done do it to the highest level. Does that make sense to everybody? And it's possible to be in multiple places at once, right? So Robert, I think you'll probably share later, and I don't think it's anything private, but Robert is an investor in the Windward office, right? So each month he receives an investor dividend based on the profitability of that market center, okay? He's also a business owner as being the productivity coach in Windward, right? He's also you're probably somewhere between this. I don't know exactly your organizational chart for your sales business, but there's some roles that you're still going on some appointments in your sales business, right?
Yep, correct.
Okay, so you're here in that arena. Does that make sense to everybody? So what I want you to do is always be evaluating how money is coming into your world and how money is leaving your world, and how much of your efforts are required to generate the money that you need or get in your life currently. Okay. So for example, I have a couple of businesses as well, right? I'm a business owner when it comes to the productivity coaching role. Okay. Kind of somewhere in here when it comes to my personal sales business. Okay. Mostly here, but a little bit here when it comes to my virtual assistant business. I'm basically completely here when it comes to Keller Williams Israel. And this is profit share too, right? And there's some other little stuff too, like an investment property, these kind of things, right? So I want you to constantly be thinking, how can I leverage my money rather than my time to make more money. Does that make sense to everybody?
Mhm.
All right. What kind of thoughts, questions, complaints, issues do you have with that?
It's a good model. It's an easy template to look at just to gain perspective.
Okay.
In the beginning, when someone's trying to accumulate wealth, they get discouraged because they think, gosh, how am I ever going to get there? But it's one of those things that stacks on top of itself. So by having that chart and looking at it, allows us to ask a question. Hey, am I doing that right now? Am I going to own a business? Am I going to be an investor, or will I always be an employee? And so you almost do a mind shift. I started in my 20s, for whatever reason. This was always interesting to me to, gosh, could you actually make money and not go to work?
Wait, Robert, can you introduce yourself really fast, or do you want me to introduce you?
Oh, yeah. I'm Robert Doyle, with Director of Career Development and the PC Coach up here at North Atlanta. And this is probably my favorite topic. I've been in business for 24 years in real estate, and that was the kind of the shovel that I was able to put into my investments by learning. You have a great coach there. Bill's going to teach you how to make a lot of commission checks and listings and sales and all of that. And that will be the fuel that you'll pour into your investments. I think lots of people, as they start to make more income, they want a bigger house, they want all these things. And for our family, we kind of stayed away from that. As we made more income, we put the income into businesses, rental properties, all types of things that would help us later on, so that if we didn't want to work, we didn't have to work. And it's a good feeling. And we're always moving towards that. But for the newer agent or someone that's what I call just getting on the wealth wagon, you start slow, but as long as you know that's where you want to go, you'll do it. I've never met anybody who hasn't been able to do it, as long as they followed the model, and kind of the little quadrant thing that you showed helps out a lot.
So I want to throw an idea out there, and I think this might help you as you're kind of discussing your journey. Is I was in a KW Young Professionals mastermind thing about 6 or 7 years ago, and at the time, Chris Heller was president of the company, and he was giving that talk, and he wanted to focus a lot on opportunity. Okay. And he said opportunity comes to those with primarily two things. Okay. Primarily two things earn an opportunity. Okay. The first is capital. Okay. And the second is influence. Okay. Capital is about 1% and influence is about 99%. Right. So and then he went on to say, well, how do you get influence? And this was with a real estate spin on it. And he was talking to primarily younger people. And he said, you get influence by your downline, right? That's essentially how influential are you, right? Have you been able to be influential in attracting people to the company? That's a evidence of your influence, right? And also your level of contribution. And the way you evaluated your level of contribution from a real estate market center standpoint was tell me a little bit about your involvement with the ALC, right? And I'd always been on the ALC since I came to the market center, but that really was like the slam dunk. It's like, that is the way, that's the breeding ground for leaders, right? So I've mentioned this before, when I call up and let's say I'm trying to pass a referral to somebody in St. Louis. I don't just give it to the desk duty person. I call the team leader and I say, I want somebody that's been through both, that's invested in their business, that's serious about Keller Williams, right? That is high culture, that's a top producer. You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Those people are influential enough to earn that opportunity. If the person never shows up to the market center, never turns in any checks, and doesn't prove that they operate at the highest caliber possible, and they're constantly learning and they have the right mindset and they display the right culture, they're not going to get my opportunity. Does that make sense? And so then I said, okay, I'm never going to not be on the ALC. I'm always going to be on the ALC. And then I said, and at that time I had dabbled quite a bit in profit share, but I really put the gas down then, right? And I said, I'm going to be the most known, most influential, most capitalized person because this company is full of opportunity. And I'm just going to put my head down and do the work until the opportunity smacks me in the face, right? And I think that Robert, for example, I don't know your story exactly on how you ended up with the opportunity to invest in Keller Williams Windward, but he was probably only given that opportunity because the other owners knew that when they partnered with him, it would make a big contribution, right? That's how you get business partners, is when they know that you're going to hold your own weight and more. Does that make sense? So number one, you have to be always thinking about how you can be capitalizing, right? Meaning have the money. And second of all, being in enough rooms where people will come to you because you have a reputation for high culture, high level of integrity, right? Always a giver, great business partner, etc. Robert, do you want to speak to that?
Yeah, I would say that that's true, and you'll end up building your own company as well. So really, if someone asks me what's at my core, it's to help out the community. I mean, honestly, I come alive when I can help out either a neighbor or a client, whoever it happens to be, or a new real estate agent. I was new once. I know, I didn't start out of the gate, knocking it out of the park. And so I just had to learn, what to do. From the standpoint of investments, one recommendation I would make is, let's say you don't have a whole bunch of influence yet. You're kind of starting your career out. You want to make some things happen. One of my best investments has been real estate. So I bought real estate, my first investment property in Roswell for $102,000. It was a 3-bedroom, 2.5-bath home. And I didn't think much of it at the time. I knew I wanted to own rental properties, but that was my first really smart move that I did from an investment standpoint. And people were telling me, well, you ought to sell it. You ought to sell it, and then you don't pay any capital gains. And that was attractive. But really, real wealth is owned by buying the piece of property, and if you can, hold it forever. And that's what we've done. So if you wanted to start out of the gate, maybe look at, hey, maybe I ought to buy my first rental property, or maybe I won't sell my current home. I'll hold it as a rental property. One of the really cool things about being a realtor is you have a unique tax place where you're able to, and you need to consult your accountant, but you can take passive losses through your income because you're a real estate agent, where a lot of folks can't do that. And so you can have a lot of profit. And I'll give you an example. Right now, if we didn't go to work tomorrow, over the next year, we'd make around $70,000 in income per year off our rental properties. And that didn't come in 1 minute or 1 day. It was and it wasn't easy. I mean, rental properties can be a really kind of messy type business, but I like that. I just like it. I like watching things grow, build, make income. I've never met anybody who couldn't do that. So for whatever, if that helps and you're thinking about doing it, my only caveat is when you buy something, whatever you put down, have the same amount in a reserve account. And I know that sounds extreme, but that's how I've operated my businesses. If I was going to buy a business and put money into it, I go, okay, we can do this, but I want the same amount in a reserve account. Hey, you're off. You muted yourself. Or I can't hear you. Maybe
Right. Yeah, you're good. You're good. Do you feel comfortable sharing any, I'm putting you on the spot. I probably should have done this prior, but can you share with us how many properties you own?
So our properties now, we've bought some properties that are pretty big. So collectively, we have between 11 and 12. Okay. And so, and what happens is they'll go through a period. If you were to buy a property today, and let's say it had cash flow of $200, okay? Well, that's
Yeah.
okay cash flow, but don't refi that property. And in 5 years, that cash flow is going to start to seem pretty significant. So now what's going to happen is, let's say you just bought one property, bought one $200,000 rental property in, say, Norcross, or a $200,000 property in Woodstock, okay? Buy
Okay.
that property. Well, the property is going up per annum at usually a bare minimum of 3%. So a $200,000 property makes $6,000, okay? If it's making $200 a month, it's making another $2,400 a year. So now you're at $8,400 on the investment, plus your tenant's paying it down. So you're putting about 10 grand into your wealth cycle as the years go by. So I can, one day we might just talk about rental properties because they're significant, and that's probably the easiest way to build up wealth and what I call not having to be a genius, and that's what I look for. I look for investments that I don't have to be a genius and I can do this and still make a decent amount of money.
So what's that $102,000 home worth today?
Around 300. So I was hoping it would double in 20 years, and it tripled. So if you go look for properties, one of the things is don't fall in love with the investment. You might be looking at an investment property. Don't fall in love with it, but create a template that says, okay, when I buy an investment property, and this is what my list is, it's got to be a smaller home, 3 bedrooms, 2 baths, good school district, in a safe area, and close to employment. I want lots of employment. So when the markets are down and people aren't buying, they're renting, and usually that's when the rent's going up, okay? So there's little models, but make sure you stay within a real little box, because that's where investors make a mistake. Oh, well, I thought this, should I buy a vacation property? Should I buy? No, have cash flow, make sure that it's manageable and that it fits within the vein of, I want to be where the first time renter is in my house. So first time renter from an apartment to my house would be in our area, which blows my mind still, $1,500 to $1,800 to rent one of our, what I call one of our little houses now. That just blows my mind, because we bought them in Alpharetta, Roswell, Cumming, Borderline, Marietta, Roswell. I've been in it a long time, but there's not anybody, everybody can do this. They can do it. And the other caveat is I'd buy 1 a year to 2 a year. I wouldn't go buy 5 or 6 of them in 1 year. Just buy 1 a year, and before you know it, you'll be doing well.
So Robert, can I ask you a question about for example, have you bought yours this year?
Nope. So we're kind of set now. I don't want to sound like I'm bragging, because that's what I don't like to do. And the other thing I don't like to do is sometimes when I'm on stage, and Bill, you've probably noticed this, like you'll be on stage, and I call this being on stage for the lack of a better term. I don't want to use hyperbole. I want to use real gut. What's real? What could I do to make a decent return on a piece of property? So when I buy a piece of property, if you were to buy one, and I'll use a perfect example, you could buy a $200,000 piece of property right now, and you could be the owner occupant. So let's say you want to buy your first rental property. You could be the owner occupant, put 3% down, get an FHA loan, or 3.5% down, put about $7,000 down. You're on your way to making a bunch of money, okay? So you buy this house, you live in it, then you go buy another one and you move into that one. And I drove my wife a little nuts when we first got married, because I go, here's what we're going to do. She's like, what? But it worked. And that's what we did.
I had dinner with her a month ago, and she seems to still love you.
Yeah. But in the beginning, she's like, okay, no wonder you got a spaceship in your background. But anyway, I just want things to be realistic for people. And so that's something that we all could do. Everybody on this panel, maybe you're already doing it. Who owns a rental property right now? Okay, so you can do it. There's a great book called by John Schaub. I think he's long since passed away. But he was a gentleman in Florida, and he wrote a book called Buying One House at a Time. Let me see, give me a sec.
Also, the Hold book.
Can you see this? I'll send it out to you guys.
Yeah.
Building Wealth One House at a Time. And I loved it because he wasn't telling me to go join a program or do this or do that. He just said, no, this is how you do it. And, you know, and it's worked.
Got it. When did you start tracking your net worth?
Probably, if this is going to sound a little crazy, but when I was 20 or 21, I had a really cool grandfather who he had lived through the Depression, and I just liked how he lived. He lived differently than anybody else in our family, and kind of like Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
Mhm.
He didn't live high on the hog, but he had wealth. And I love my parents. They're awesome. But they would have a tendency to overbuy. They would buy a property. You can come in and listen. They would buy a property, and I love my mom and dad. So they buy a property, but then we wouldn't have any furniture in it because they could barely afford the mortgage payment. And it was just, my dad came out of a rough background, and so I'm sorry, he did awesome. But I did not want to be like that. I wanted to be able to put furniture in my house. So I go, look, and I watched how my grandfather lived. And I learned a lot. I learned about investing from him. I learned about buying properties from him. I learned pretty much, if you want to learn something from somebody, watch somebody who's actually making money at it, because then you see it in reality. You go, okay, that's how it's done. And you might have your own way to do it. Like Bill's got his way to do it, you know, and maybe some of the people on the panel have their own way. And that's a key point. As an investor, know thyself. Know thyself. I can tell you what I'm doing, but it doesn't mean it's perfect for you. Does that help?
Yeah, absolutely. So, what do you think the biggest mistake that people do when they are trying to figure out this whole wealth thing?
I think they quit. They just quit. It just, at times you get a brake job that needs to be done in the car. You get, you know, your daughter needs braces, you know, all these different things start to come in at you. And it's hard for the brain to go, well, now I can't invest because now this is happening. And now I can't invest because that's happening. Investing starts really small. And you actually want to build that habit. You want to build the habit of putting $1 away, something that helped me save income or money from my rental properties. And this sounds stupid, but I put $1 in a jar. So if I went out and I went to lunch and I spent $10, and let's say I bought, you know, a real good diet, but let's say I went to McDonald's for the 5th time that week. I don't do that now, but back then I did. I go to McDonald's and I might get $3 or $4 back. I didn't allow myself to spend $1 bills. So if I got $1 bills back, I didn't get to spend it. And that's what I put in my holding account for my down payment money, because I had to build the habit of saving, and it's a habit. So all these things start real small, but replace bad habits with good habits. Just do your best, replace bad habits with good habits. And we do that. It's the same thing we teach in real estate, but that helped me a lot. And you're going to make mistakes, but don't freak out over it. You know, I bought some really bad property. I mean, I've once had someone call me and go, that must be the ugliest house in Roswell, you know, and you're talking about my house? And they said, yeah, it's the ugliest house I've ever seen. And I was like, well, guess what? I'm going to buy more of them, you know, because that type of thing got me mad. That's like, it's not ugly, you know, it's in the eyes of the beholder. And it, I mean, honestly, does look like a Pizza Hut, but it's, who cares, you know?
You own that house?
Yep.
I'm just kidding.
No, it does. That's how they describe
I don't know
it.
which one you're talking about. I was just trying to be funny.
I'll show you a picture. It looks like we don't live there now, but it's been a great home. It's been a great home. And I never sold, I sold a couple properties, but most of them I never sell. My wife and I, we never sell them. We buy them, we hold them forever.
Let's take a small detour and talk about profit share. Have you checked my KW today?
Yes. So this we all can do too. This is what I love about this particular thing we're talking about today. Everybody can do this. And when I started out and started in real estate, they told me about profit share. That wasn't why I came to KW. They were shutting down our office and I needed to find a new place to go. And I did some research on KW and it sounded interesting, but there was this little nugget about profit share. I go, well, that will just be an add-on. But once I got into it, I started recruiting like crazy. And now my wife and I have 235 people on our downline. Now, everybody can do that though. Everybody can do that.
Any specific rock stars that you've recruited?
Aubrey Bailey helped bring in Gina Sharma. There's 2 or 3 now team leaders. They weren't team leaders in the beginning, but now are on. I believe Soraya Jude, not immediate, but I brought Kevin Stocks and Aubrey on. And say hi. This is somebody. She rocks. She rocks. And now she's building her downline, aren't you?
Yes, I am.
So see, we all can do it. We all can do it. Okay. Can I bring her in?
Of course.
She yep. So get in your mind, if you're going to build wealth, and here's the funk. Here's the other mistake I think people make. We got to work really hard. So you want to do this. You want to become a great listing agent. You want to become a great selling agent. You want to do all that. Listen to everything Bill says to get your business to where you want it to go, because then that's going to be the fuel that will give you more opportunities to buy more properties later. So you want them both. Like a lot of people go, well, I just want to invest and I just want to buy properties and that's going to be how I'm going to do it. I go, you actually need them both for a while. You need them both for a while, but at one point your investments, and this is gratefully happened to me, they exceed the amount I could, if I wanted to save as much as my investments earn in a year, I couldn't do it. There's no way. I could not do it. They throw off $150,000 in passive income now. I couldn't just say, I'm going to save $150,000 this year. I couldn't do it. Okay. But that's what I'm talking. That's how important this subject is. And it starts with time. Just set up a time frame. And believe me, you all can do this, but think about what agents are you meeting out in the marketplace who could use a better platform to build their business. I'd say KW. Now, we're not perfect, but we offer a lot, and it actually offers you the ability not to even have a cap. You can go out there and recruit people and not even have a cap.
That's right. So how many people have you directly sponsored, do you know?
Well, some have left. So over the years, and I like to include that factor, I've on my A line about 15 people, okay? Now that 15 is at a hard 7, but underneath that hard 7, it goes down 7 levels. So it's almost created a bulletproof system now. So
those 7 on line 1, and you have a total of roughly 250 in your 7 levels?
237. 237.
Wow. So I'll give you my numbers real fast. I've attracted about 225 people directly to Keller Williams. I have about 80 on my first level right now.
Awesome.
I got about between 90 and 95 on my second level and another 15 or 20 below that. And I'm to level 5. And like Robert said, it's just going to continue to grow because this company is a leader in everything we want our company to be leaders in, right?
But to that point, so we don't miss
the culture. It's a leader in training. It's a leader in team building, in personal development, right? We've got companies, by the way, that are calling on the government to help their agents, right? That's that's the same day that Keller Williams just took $20 million from their profit and cut the cost for coaching for their teams and for their agents. You guys don't know how lucky you are to be at this.
In about 5 minutes, I'm going to have to go into a leadership meeting. Does
Yeah.
anybody have a question, something that they're trying to work on or make happen?
I have a question if I can go first.
Hit us.
All right, my name is Charleston Gray. I think we met the first time you were
I
at
remember you vividly.
Roswell office. Yes. So I'm in that sphere where I'm in the E because I have a job, and I'm S, and I have some investment properties also. And I'm trying to get up to the business part. And so what's the best approach for me? And I know Bill will say, just go out there and do the leads and stuff like that. But I really need to get my business growing, so to speak, that part of my my business. So
Okay, so what you're trying to do is build your income more or less at this point? Yay?
yeah,
And
because
listing inventory and maybe buyer inventory?
yes, I'm trying to get that part of my business going, basically.
Okay, so let's go to that for a minute. This might sound like it's not anything, but I'd say just relax. You're going to do it. That you're going to do it. But rather than to try to do more things in a day, try to do less things, but do them more often. So right now, if someone said, I want to get my income up, then I go, okay, well then let's do this. On Monday, let's go say hello to 25 for sale by owners. Just the words saying hello to 25 FSBOs, okay? On Tuesday, let's go say hello to 25 people in our farm and maybe hand out a CMA, okay? On Wednesday, let's follow up with a hand note to the 50 people we did on Monday and Tuesday, okay? On Thursday, let's go and we're gonna do an open house Saturday or Sunday. Let's go invite 50 to 75 people in the neighborhood to that open house. On Friday, let's go back and answer calls and do feedback. On Saturday, we'll do the open house. And on Sunday, we'll collapse and let the check come in. So if we do this formula in a power week, you'll start to find that instead of 100 people from Bold, you're hitting close to 200 people. In the beginning of our career, we don't need to do this forever, but in the beginning of the career, I would relax. I wouldn't worry about being perfect. I wouldn't do, my thing is I would create a brand. So my brand, is a tie, a name tag, a shirt. I know it sounds silly, but that's my brand. So when people see me, they kind of expect, okay, he's going to have a tie, a name tag, and a shirt. And for the most part, he's going to be like Billy. He's going to have a good attitude, all of that. So we're going to do that. In the beginning, if you did that for 24 months straight, by the end of the 24 months, you're going to be where you need to be. Now, it's not going to be pretty. It's going to be a little sloppy. But then, to Bill's point and what we're trying to do here, put 10% of that income into a vault and just leave it there. And as opportunities present themselves over the next 12 to 24 months, have the courage to go, I've analyzed it. I can buy that property because I've got my amount I can invest. Let's say we got to put $15,000 to buy the property. And I got another $15,000 over here in reserves. Always have and you'll come up with your own formula, but I want a balance of reserves. I probably won't need the reserves, but I got them. But be in missile pursuit to become the mayor of your city, your town. Even like I heard a funny joke the other day is we have to right now during the crisis have to reach out to our extroverts because it's driving them mad right now. You know, you would think let's reach out to the introverts, but it's the extroverts right now that are going crazy. So we just got to kind of keep that in mind because we always think the extroverts are the ones, oh, they're fine, they'll be fine, all that. This is, it hurts them. It hurts them right now at a deep, deep level. So I hope that helps, but just be calm. Know that you're going to do it. You have an awesome coach there. He's going to help you. He's going to pick you up and move you. We don't expect you to have every day knowing what to do, what to say, all of that. But if you're ever lost, just do one thing all day long, but then you can do something different the next day and something different the next day. You will find that you'll be more successful than trying to do 5 different activities in one day.
Thank you very much. That helps.
Anybody else have a question?
I just want to take a minute to thank Robert for coming on and contributing. Robert is basically now a coach of mine, and I've enjoyed getting to know you, and I just appreciate what you're doing for Georgia Legacy Group and for our team. And I suspect that you would be one second. One second, please. I suspect that you would be available to help myself and to help our team as we are building wealth and growing our real estate businesses. So thank you.
Whatever you need. Just know we've all been there. We've all been first-time agents. We've all been there. I think if this helps at all, you'll be where I'm at. If, not to sound silly, but you'll be where I'm at if you just stay calm and do basic things and listen to Bill, okay? And I'll be there to help too, okay?
Thanks,
Yeah, beautiful children, Bill.
Oh, thanks.
And you do too. You do too, Donna. I saw yours. And did we see, who else did we see your Stephanie?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. I want to make sure. All right. Everybody have a real safe, wonderful weekend, okay? I love you all. Have a great day.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Thank you, Bill.
Thank you. Okay, we've got another 20 or 25 minutes or so left. Was that valuable?
It was.
Yes.
What would you say your biggest takeaways from that are?
Oh, the investment part, if you can go out and just get at least one property. I would like to have an investment property. I don't have one.
Right.
I would like to do that.
I bought what was my first property that ultimately became my first investment property at essentially the height of the market. I closed January of 2006. And I paid $71,000 for a 1-bed, 1-bath condo in Sandy Springs. I held on to it. At the bottom of the market, it was worth about $15,000. And today it's probably worth about $115,000.
I bet.
Are you done?
It is.
Big bucks.
What time is it?
It's 2:05. Okay.
So my biggest takeaway was the fact that he moved his family around to take advantage of because I have not done it that way, to take advantage of if you have owner occupied, the interest rates are usually a lot better.
Right.
You have a lot better opportunity to make better cash flow because the rates and everything are better for as an investor. If you do it the other way, like I've done it, you typically have to put down 20%.
Yeah.
Or in some cases you have to put down 25% depending on
Right.
the market. And so it's a little bit more difficult. And so just so you guys know, I spoke to the Vitali. Is the Vitali, right, Bill?
Kathy?
Yeah, Kathy, they have a product in-house, guys, that you don't have to, you still have to put down 20%, but you don't have to do any income verification. And it's basically only on the property itself. So I'll give you an example. So let's just say you find a property and it's worth, your income on the property is it's $1,200 a month. And your mortgage will be only $1,000 when you finish financing it. They would allow you to buy that property without any income verification. Now that's a great product I'm looking at, because then as a person like myself, I was going to be having to put down a lot of money to do a property in Georgia. And now I'll have to put down 20%. Now I can buy 2 properties instead of just 1 this year. with that type of program, which I'm loving. So if you need any more information about it, you can talk to Kathy. She can definitely give you a better understanding on what it is.
That's awesome. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
I think so, too.
And if you look at, if you read the book Hold, right, or The Millionaire Real Estate Investor, the blue book. I don't think I have a copy at home. I got a couple of copies at the office, but The Millionaire Real Estate Investor would tell you kind of the target type of property to buy. Like, so let's say, for example, you have, like, for example, it's much more strategic to go buy two $200,000 properties or four $100,000 properties than one $400,000 property.
Absolutely.
Right? Now, if you didn't understand math or mortgages or the real estate world, that may not resonate with you. So that's why it's so important to study from the people who have done well and study from the people who have made poor decisions, right? Because I'm not a huge fan of Dave Ramsey, to be honest with you, but he does have a few good ideas. He says, you live like no one else, so later you can live like no one else.
I like that.
Have you heard that?
I haven't heard it, but I like it. I like it.
Does anyone know who Dave Ramsey is?
No, I don't know.
Dave Ramsey is like a personal finance guru.
Yes. He speaks at our
podcaster.
church like once a year. He comes to North Point and he speaks there. He's pretty involved. But yeah.
Right.
And some
he
people,
has a
some people
program
like
called Financial Peace University.
right.
He's big on being debt free.
Yes.
I'm not as big on being debt free, but that's just my personal opinion.
Well, that's why you're reading Robert Kiyosaki.
That's right. Dave Ramsey is the financial guru for the middle class. Robert Kiyosaki is the financial guru for the upper class.
That's right.
And Susie Orman is the financial guru for the lower class. It just is what it is. I'm not saying she's got bad advice or Dave Ramsey's got bad advice, but most bigger financial literacy people would not agree with a lot of the concepts that they have. Okay.
Keep it down, guys.
What's that?
One more. I was telling my kids to keep it down. One more thing that I loved about what he said was when I asked the question, and he said, contact 25, do this, 25 more people on Tuesday, Wednesday you follow up. He didn't mention Thursday, but I'm going to put something on Thursday. Maybe I'll contact 25 expired or something like that. And I wanted to know, when you say just say hi, I guess he doesn't mean go knocking on the, I guess back in those days, I guess he meant knocking on the door before this crisis. So I guess I'll just call them.
Yeah, I mean, look, this is a little bit of an unprecedented time right now, but what will endure is relationships. So you just got to go make some deposits, right? Go offer to help, check in with people, ask if everything is okay, right? Like I said earlier today, maybe check on your elderly neighbor and see if they need some help setting up a Zoom account, or see if they need you to make a grocery run, right? Just do something somebody else is not willing to do, right? Just say hi.
Hey, Bill, it's Stephanie.
Yeah.
So today, y'all know I went to Sam's. I waited like 20 minutes before they opened, and I got 180 rolls of toilet paper. And so passing those out, I had people opening their windows trying to talk to me because they were bored. They wanted some interaction. And one lady works at Lowe's, and she said, as soon as I'm ready to sell a house, I'm going to call you. And I've already received 3 texts and a phone call from just putting them at the door today.
I love that.
So, it meant a lot to
Awesome.
people. So
I love that. And it's just activity. It's saying, I have a plan. These are the hours I'm going to go to Sam's.
mm-hmm.
Then this is the hour that I'm going to go put it on doorsteps, right? Now, if none of that was in your calendar, it wouldn't have happened,
Sure.
right? So it's just committing to the activities that have to be done each and every day in order to have the results that you're trying to get. So please continue to share your success stories with that. And when they call you back, say, hey, would you be okay with sharing your contact information with me? And I can set you up on a with this app, or I could send you some information on upcoming, if you want to update every month or two about homes that have sold in your area, I'd be happy to do that. Just no pressure. I just want to be here when you have questions.
Okay. I wrote down their numbers and I just thanked them. I was afraid to sound too salesy. So I just asked them if they needed anything else. They have my number. And I took down their information, so I have it. But I don't have email addresses. I just have phone numbers.
Yeah, just offer something.
Okay.
Just offer something. Hey, a lot of my clients right now are really getting a lot of value from this app. Would you like it? It's free.
Okay.
Right. Maybe maybe that's a little bit more salesy than just saying hi.
Mm-hmm.
But I think if you're asking if there's a way that you can help them and you have something that might be of value to them, then it doesn't come off wrong.
Okay.
You're leading with your heart.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Or maybe if you don't want to do it on the first time, basically try to figure out a way that you can communicate again.
Sure. That's what I thought I would re-text them maybe in a
Can I
bit.
text you in a week and then I'll offer you the app?
Mm-hmm.
Right. But if there's no kind of this agreement to reconvene, then you might not have a chance to do it in the future.
Okay.
Right. So one of the things that I want to throw out there with respect to wealth building is I want you to we did this at the very beginning when we started meeting, was to do an exercise called Future Self. Okay. And the exercise is essentially saying, if we were sitting here a year from today, or if we were sitting here 5 years from today, or if we were sitting here 20 years from today, and we were just celebrating the fact that the last 1 year or 5 years or 20 years has been just remarkable. Like everything that I wanted, I got, right? I wanted to make this amount of money, or I wanted to make this type of contribution, or I wanted to own 10 rental properties, or I wanted to go to 20 more countries on vacation, or I wanted to, fill in the blank, right? That is what you're in a moment where there's no stress, when there's no deadline, right? You're just getting an opportunity to dream a little bit, right? And the things that pop into your mind are the things that speak to you the most, right? And what you're trying to essentially do is say, this is speaking to me, and there's a plan for me to get that. So I just need to work on what that plan is and then figure out what I need to do each day. It's an exercise that Gary says is, it's called goal setting to the now, right? If I want to lose 20 pounds this year, I need to lose 3 pounds a week, or 3 pounds a month. If I want to lose 3 pounds a month, I need to lose 1 pound a week. If I want to lose 1 pound a week, I'm going to need to get on the scale 5 times a week, right? So then you say, okay, well, what do I need to do today to make sure that happens, right? Because if I say you want to add 500 people to your database this year, you say, oh my gosh, that's a lot of work. But if I say all you got to do is add 2 a day and you can take off 100 days out of the year, you're like, that ain't no big deal, right? So let's do some dreaming and let's do some real soul searching to determine, and I don't think there's anything wrong with having a financial spin on this, is let's do some financial dreaming, right? And then let's just be willing to execute on a plan that'll help you get there, right? So if you say, well, I want to own a rental property in the next 3 years. Okay, great. So how much money will you have to make in order for that to happen? So let's say your financial goals were to make $100,000 a year. What if you made $120,000 a year instead and just sold 1 or 2 extra properties in the whole course of the year? And then you would have enough money to have a healthy down payment on an investment property. And then you spend another 3 years saving up again. And then you spend another 3 years saving up again. I mean, you can amass some pretty significant wealth, right? You know, like, I also think we are in a unique environment, and I'm going to hop on my soapbox for just a moment. I'll get off very soon, I promise. Is guess where your kids and your colleagues and your friends, they did not learn financial literacy concepts in school. And the average person in our country has no idea what financial literacy is all about, right? And your kids are not learning these concepts in school either, right? So I think it's our job to understand them and master them ourselves so that we can share them with our peers and with our kids, right? Like, and I'm like, you heard my daughter say, that's a lot of money, right? That's because she knows some things about money, right? We have when she loses a tooth fairy, I don't know what a tooth's worth these days, but we said it's worth $3, right? We're gonna give you $3. $1 you get to spend. Okay, spend it on anything you want. $1 you're gonna save, and $1 you're gonna do something for somebody else with. You're either gonna give it to charity, or you're gonna buy something for somebody else, right? Do you think that's a lesson she's gonna take with her for a long time?
Yes.
Right? So don't be like, our kids are not getting these financial lessons in the course of normal society. That's our job, right? And then when she says, I want that football, many of you saw me talking about the football earlier this week. She's only lost 8 teeth. Like, her life savings is $8. The football was $9. Like, you know, like, we have a conversation around that.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? That's our job, because we don't want our kids to be on a call in, 20, 30 years and not have any financial intelligence and be in a position where they're just starting their wealth journey. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I think this is these are family exercises, right? When the kids say, oh my gosh, I want this, I want this, I want this, I want this. They say that one of the biggest, what is the exact way they put it? One of the biggest facts that is correlated with success when they study children, and then they track these children over time, the amount that their ability to delay gratification, what is most closely tied to their level of success in the future. Has anyone ever heard that?
No, I have not.
So, like, for example, if they're given a cookie and they say, if you eat this cookie right now, you only get 1. But if you wait 10 minutes to eat the cookie, I'll give you another one.
Okay.
Right? And then they study those kids that waited, and then they study the kids that didn't wait. And what they realize is that the kids that waited will do better in life. Right?
Okay.
So I'm kind of spitballing a little bit with you right now, but these are concepts that I believe as parents we are tasked with teaching to our family, right? And when you make decisions, you say, if we do this later in the future, we will not be able to do this. However, if we do this later in the future, we'll have this opportunity, right?
Yeah.
So if we go and drop, $400 a night on a hotel room, Kim, at the Ritz instead of $100 a night at the Holiday Inn, could you have done something different with that $300?
Yeah.
Bill, you have to use a military discount.
Oh, you get a military discount?
Yeah.
Okay, that'll be my last joke about the Ritz and you. Okay, fine. Thank you for your service. See what I'm saying? Every decision we make is a financial decision. All right, who else wants to speak?
Does the Holiday Inn give a military discount?
Yeah.
They probably do.
They
I
do.
bet they do.
They do.
I bet they would now, that's for sure. Kim, you love this class so much, you're in twice. Okay. I'm working on the schedule for this upcoming week. Does anyone have any things they are just dying to learn about?
Not just yet, but as the weekend goes, how late can we tell you?
You just tell me when they come up. If I get it on the calendar for this week, great. If not, we'll wait. This is what I
Okay.
got so far. Kind of an Ask Me Anything session, a basic skills camp, a little session on chart masters, a little session on the buyer presentation and seller presentation, and a big group session, and then a high accountability session. And then I don't know if Aubrey has made this announcement, but there's most likely at 11 o'clock every day. I don't know how long these are going to go for, but at 11 o'clock every day, there's going to be a office Zoom where there's going to be some Q&A and some lessons and that kind of stuff. So we'll be, I won't be scheduling anything at 11 o'clock because my hope is that you'll engage in that.
Okay.
All right. And then apparently there is, I haven't looked into this so much, but apparently there is a course that was the most popular course ever at like Yale University, right? And it's called The Science of Well-Being. And the author, the instructor, has made that free on a website called Coursera. And I put a link down in the on the announcements page, so you can take a peek at that if you're interested. I want this to kind of be a warehouse of stuff and value, and so I'm just going to drop some things in every once in a while, and some things will speak to some people, some things will speak to other people. Ben Kinney's podcast I put in yesterday, the day before. He's like on a different level. He's just, the way he talks and the way his mind works is just remarkable. So I encourage you to take a look at this. Guys, we're always feeding our brain. We're feeding our brain with happy, positive learning stuff, or feeding it with the world's falling apart and everyone's mad and blah, 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 blah. And we get an opportunity to choose which one we are, how we're going to spend our mind and our time. At the very beginning of the forward of Shift, there's a quote from a gentleman named Brian Tracy, and it says, you cannot control what happens to you, but you can control your attitude towards what happens to you.
Mm-hmm.
And in that, you'll be mastering change rather than allowing it to master you.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
It does.
So I probably don't say this enough, but I just want to take a minute to thank all of you guys. I know this is a kind of unprecedented time, and I just appreciate the time that you're giving to each other and to me. My hope, like we've said a number of times, is I am my goal for this group is to accelerate the growth of your business and your quality of life. And we're going to do that by sharing successes and sharing failures, and by pumping each other up and holding each other accountability and getting super clear on what it is we want and why we want it. And then we get to use, like, 75% of the world's or the country's wealth is tied up in real estate. And our job, we find out about the listings before they go live. and we help buyers buy and sellers sell the thing that makes up 75% of the world, and it only costs us about $1,400 or $1,500 a year
Yeah.
to run this business where we can make hundreds of thousands, if not more.
Yeah.
Guys, like, pinch yourself.
Yeah.
Like, literally, like, we got the best gig in town,
Yeah.
right? And then when we buy stuff, they pay us to buy it.
Mhm.
Or when we sell stuff, we don't even have to pay the to have representation. We do it ourselves.
Yeah.
Help me understand. Is there a better gig out there? I'm not sure about it.
This is one hell of a gig.
All right, so go take advantage of that. Okay. All right, y'all. Any other questions?
No.
All right. I know it's crazy. Just be safe. Put your head down. Do the work. Go figure out how you can contribute to your local community. Okay. One thing I want to throw out there is I'll give you mostly a pass this week because we're spending more time at home than we're used to. We got other obligations with our kids and these kind of things. You need a new routine. This is the new normal. I will admit I've slept in a couple times this week. That is not serving me.
Yeah.
Mm-mm.
Right?
Right.
So I'm done with that nonsense.
So send us a picture of your feet, 6 a.m.
I knew you were going to say that.
I'm up,
Do it. 6 o'clock?
6 o'clock.
Lead by example, sir.
Okay. I'm a leader. I'll lead.
Starting Monday. We'll give you the weekend.
Man, you tough.
Yes.
Kim knows.
All right. You've been one of my
Does that
favorites
mean
from the
everybody
beginning
has
now.
to be up at 6 to reply to that email, that picture?
What's that?
Does that mean everyone has to be up by 6 to reply to that too?
Yes.
Oh my
Yeah.
God.
No, you don't have to do that, Bill. You don't have to do that.
Hey, if I don't, I'm just lying to myself.
Yeah,
And
I
your
hear you.
family.
I hear you.
And oh my gosh.
Right.
And my family.
That's correct.
Y'all don't be family cheaters now.
Yeah.
All
I
right.
like
Have a good weekend, everybody.
Okay, you too. Bye, guys.
Bye, guys.
Bye, guys. You all stay.